Okay, I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Troup City Council to order, noting that it is 6:39 and all members are present with the exception of Chip Richardson. This time, Chip, would you do the invocation?
Sure. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord. We praise you for this community that we live in, Lord. We ask you to give us wisdom tonight and discernment as we try to make the very best choices for the community, Lord. We just ask you to be with us in everything we do, and that we do it to your will, Lord. We ask this in your name. Amen.
And now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. There's the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda item number 4, we're going to consider the approval of the minutes from the regular scheduled meeting of May the 19th, 2015. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll second.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I'll second it again.
I would entertain them, since nobody was. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, and it passes. Agenda item number 5, citizen comments. Brief comments concerning non-agenda items. Comments on the agenda should be held until called for. Any citizen comments? Not you guys up here. Any citizen comments? Hearing none, we'll move to agenda item number 6. To discuss the appointment of a council person to fill the unexpired term of Council Place 2. And this would require action.
I think that we've had a few names discussed or brought up, but Nelson is here, and there's been some discussion about that. Nelson had agreed and would like to serve in this role. Does anybody else have any other ideas or anyone that they would care to mention?
I would concur with what you said, Jeff. And I think Nelson's well qualified and cares about the community, and it would be a good choice for us, I believe.
For the benefit, for clarification, this would be an unexpired term for Place 2 that would expire in May of 2016. Is that correct? Okay. And Gene has talked to the council, and we are within our legal bounds to fill that unexpired term. So in order to do that, I would entertain a motion accordingly.
I will make a motion that we vote on Nelson Darden to fill Joe's place 2, correct? As for the next year until the term expires as a city council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And that motion is that Nelson Darden would complete the unexpired term for Council Place 2. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, Nelson. You are now to be sworn in. I guess you could have commented.
It's probably best I did.
Yeah, not no, but absolutely no. Before we proceed, I think we'll go ahead and have you sworn in, and then you'll go ahead and occupy that place too.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to be in front of the flag.
I was gonna put it right
Please
here.
don't talk bad about us.
Gotta keep everybody straight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I, Nelson Darden, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of a vote of the election of which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be. So help me God. Title position to which elected, appointed, council place 2 of the city of Troup Council. The execution under penalties of perjury, I declare that I read the foregoing statement, that the facts stated therein are true. Date 6/23/15, signature. I'll sign Nelson Darden.
I might mention that our newest installed councilman was in San Diego last night, and then back home, and then in Dallas this morning, and back home. So he's quite a busy guy, and Nelson, the fact that you would add this responsibility to your busy schedule is very important to all of us who serve. So thank you for agreeing to do that.
Much appreciated.
We doubt that it's a one-year term, but that's how we sold it.
Happy to be here with you guys.
And just as the old said, there is no money involved.
Well,
This is a freebie.
Yeah. This is how it happened to all of us.
Oh, it was?
We all got tricked into this.
I thought you guys got money, so.
Yeah, we didn't have to swear to that thing. At this time, we will review and consider the financial report for the month of May 2015. Mr. Cottle.
All right. As usual, the most important thing to look at is the cash comparison. Nelson, do you have that?
Yes.
It's the cash report from this
It'll be this
period.
single sheet, Nelson.
Okay.
It says cash comparison report on the top.
And, of course, this compares May of last year with May of this year. And right now, in May of this year, we're at 212,000, a little over, in excess of what we had in the bank at this time. Last year, 24 months ago, we're $260,000 for the work. 2 years ago. There's nothing remarkable about the financial statements this time. Income is running where it should be, and expenses are not extraordinary right now. We're getting ready to have some extraordinary expenses, and I'll go over those when we get down there.
Would that be in your manager's
That will
report?
be in the mail.
Okay. All right, any other information that needs to be discussed on financials?
Now, Nelson, what I usually do is the revenue report I give the council, I print the truncated version.
Okay.
And that's what appears in your packet. But when you get your packet online, their big sheet is there.
Okay.
But it just takes so much paper
Right.
to print that I don't, you're welcome to have it if you would like it. And I'm always telling anybody they want the one I've got printed. I print one, so I'll have it to look at in case somebody has a
Ask
detailed
questions.
question. I've got that, but in case you want it, well, I can reprint. So
Okay.
what it says.
So, at this time, I would entertain a motion to accept the city financial report for May 2015. A motion?
Second.
A motion is second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So that passes. We'll move on to agenda item number 8, which will be comments and questions or input from the city manager's written report.
In front of you is my written report, everybody got that. In front of you. It's the nice one with the color logo and all of it. Which you- Let's see, we're at 2/3 of the budget here right now. And like I said, there's no significant variances in the expenses. And our sales tax payment in June was up from the May payment, but down considerably from June of last year. The reason I have in my mind, part of the reason for that is the building industry has been, because of the wet weather, has been hugely off. And I suspect that Harry's is a pretty good sized contributor to our sales tax. So if people are not building, Harry's not selling stuff, if Harry's not selling stuff, we're not collecting sales tax.
I didn't
Plus grocery sales, everything goes down probably. It's not actually, but actually probably May. Yeah.
April.
Or April. So it's 2 months, 2 months away.
Okay. As reported earlier, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality has 3 items on our water system that we have to address. We've got to have another operator. Johnny Cameron's in the process of finishing that school. I talked to him today, and he's just going to have to take some time off from work to finish that up, because he has till the 31st of July to get that done. The leaking service pump at well number 2 has been replaced. You remember I told you we were going to have some significant expenses. That expense is going to be, of course, you've already approved that, and that's $19,000, a little over to do that. So you'll see that come flying out of the cash balances next month. The TCEQ noted that the coating on the interior beams of the ground storage tank at well number 2 was deficient. That work started last week. You may get some calls about yellow water more than usual. Remember when we have to switch over to well number 1, our old well, the water is going to be more yellow than it is when it comes out of well number 2. But the primary reason for that is when the folks that have us treat the water change the chemical that we're treating the water. When we mix those chemicals with the water, it creates that yellow color. And right now, to take that yellow color out, the best I can determine, it cost $250,000 at least to do that.
And we have had some discussion about the fact that you have to add additional chemicals to actually do that,
Yeah,
which are somewhat suspect,
that's right.
or at least would warrant, the investigation by the concerned.
And so when they get that work done, which is probably going to be in 4 weeks or so, we will spend another $36,000 that will come out of the water and sewer fund. Of course, if you noticed the Tyler paper the other day, Tyler's water revenues are down significantly because of the wet years. And Tyler went ahead and raised water rates. And at some point in time, we will have to consider doing that. So right now, our water revenues look like it's going to be off about $100,000 this year, at least, from what we project. Okay. And the project funded by the TCDC to move the water lines beneath Tiger Drive is underway. And that's a little bit behind because of there being wet. But I noticed they were out there digging holes and laying.
Yeah, it looked like they poured concrete on one side of one patch anyway.
Right.
Concrete.
What I'm trying to figure out is where that driveway is going.
It's a ramp.
Yeah, it looks to me like it's gonna go over the roof of the concession stand.
Wow.
It's like that.
Yeah, it's high.
Let's see, within the past week, I participated in free online training offered by the Texas Department of Agriculture regarding their Main Street and downtown revitalization application workshop. That training would have been a whole lot better if their audio-visual equipment had worked as it was supposed to. So I got the audio part, but I didn't get to see the slides. So they emailed everyone that couldn't see the slides. So then also this past week, I took a 12-hour Texas Department of Transportation local government project procedures qualification class. And what that is for is if you apply for a grant and receive money from the federal government, which is distributed by TxDOT, you have to have somebody that's been certified in this program process to handle that money and to sign off on it. And many times that's done by a grant consultant, but I felt, since it was free training, I felt like it was a good idea for me to sit in on that.
Was that Plano?
No, that was in Tyler. Okay. And then I went to Plano on Friday. Last week was school week. I went to Plano on Friday for a 4-hour government treasures in Texas seminar, which is always good to have. Buffy's certified in that, so I'm certified. two people that know what a dollar bill looks like. $20.
Tax dollar.
And this Monday, the 29th, the mayor and I will be attending the TML legislative update in Austin. And if you remember our $106,000 to take down the water tower, I negotiated an easement for that property for $3,500. It gives us full access for an unlimited period of time to take that water tower down. And after that, I spoke to a company that's all they do, is take down water towers, pretty much. And instead of $106,000, I have a quote for $15,700.
Whoa.
Take down that water tower. And I was gonna have that on this week's agenda, and somehow I slipped up and didn't get it on there, so it be on the July 8th agenda. And what I did was to get that.
Are we on their schedule?
No, not until I send it back to sign contract.
Okay.
But what my negotiation with them was that we would do it at their convenience, and that drops the price some more. Because they said, well, if you're in a hurry, we'll have to price it at this. And I said, no, it's been there for a while. It won't hurt it to stand there on
Is
the
the
wall.
TCEQ okay with us being slow and removing
They
it?
don't care. We're not hooked up to it.
We can't, you.
Yeah, no, it's,
I just didn't.
yeah, no, there's a, what they call an air gap between that tank and the water lines. The only thing different beside from this bid and the original bid is they're gonna take it down to the concrete foundation. The previous, bid was to take it out of the concrete foundation, but we can handle, they were gonna subcontract that anyway to somebody, and I said we would just handle that. So there's a huge amount of difference between $18,000, which is gonna be the total cost of this project, and $106. Even with my limited mass scale, I can pretty much stretch that.
Very good.
Is there any reason that the concrete bases are even an issue?
No, I just felt like at some point, I just need to go ahead and, because what we can do is that'll just make it easier to mow. So, anyway.
So that concludes your report.
It does.
Thank you, Mr. Cottle.
Thank you for saving all that money.
Really?
See, Nelson, you on council?
Man, hey, that's making it a good start here.
And Nelson, not that this is an agenda item, but my first meeting, we had to decide whether to take the voice boxes out of dogs in the back door of the kennel. So,
You'll never forget that.
I won't.
never heard such in my life, and it came up, and it's for real, it really came up.
I was there.
So what you're saying, this is a much better start.
So far,
Okay.
we hadn't gotten all the way through the list yet, but we
You
didn't
had
take
to see the
any.
dog item on your agenda.
There's also an item about somebody's dog killing somebody's cat, and I was scared that the pictures they pulled out were going to be my two dogs.
And my
But
dad.
fortunately, it wasn't that. Agenda item number 8 will be to discuss and consider a request from Lola Franklin concerning the placement of city streetlights on East Wilkinson.
I'm Lola Franklin. and,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Miss Franklin.
I live at 721 East Nicholson Drive, and my concern is on my side of the street from Alabama, coming from Mr. Collins on down, there's a street light on every block. But when you get off of Alabama Street and turn to your left on Wilkinson, there are no street lights on that. It is totally dark. When we lost power from 3 to 11, it was total darkness there. And we have floodlights, but you cannot see. And we have a lot of vacant property between Alabama and my house, so there is no individuals there. But there is a pole for a light. I remember walking to school there, and there has been no lights since. And I'm just wondering, why are there no lights? It is totally dark.
So you're saying that right now there's a pole in the location that you would be
Yes,
requesting?
it's one on that property, and we also have a pole but no light. I think at 811, there is a pole next door with a light that's not, on. It's a city light. But when I get down to Brown Street, that community has lights on every block, city lights. And they're requesting that I buy a light. And I don't see the point, because there should be some lights between Alabama and my house.
And can you, Gene, can you show us where that is on that?
Yeah, her house is here in the red. That's
Okay.
her property right there. This is the light at 812. And even if that light was on right now, it wouldn't be effective because there's a huge tree around it. So we talked to the highway department about taking that tree down because with the tree work, the tree completely hides it. Let me show you the, okay, there's the look from Brown Street.
Right.
And there's the light on the corner of Brown, right?
Yes.
And then you see that light down there? That's the one that from Mrs. Franklin's side is completely covered by the tree. And if you go to here, you can see from this is Ms. Franklin's driveway right here. You can see that you can't even,
Yeah, the trees are.
And so the red arrow would indicate the light that's buried in the tree.
That's the
Buried.
yeah.
But there's no bulb in it. It hadn't worked in over 2 years.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be effective if it did, so we have to get the tree taken out. We talked to the highway department about that. Now, here's how we stand right there. This is Mrs. Franklin's house, the yellow dot,
721.
right, that's yours right there. It's 752 feet from this light at the corner, it's just past the Alabama Street.
Right.
There's no light on the corner of Alabama. So the nearest light is 752 feet, but there's nobody, that's just, you can tell that's just a wooded area right there.
And that's what concerns me, because people hide in those woods.
And then this is the light on the corner of Brown, and it's right on Wilkinson Drive. And then this is the light that's hidden by the tree. It's 364 feet from this light here to the center of Ms. Franklin's property. It's 246 feet from this light here to the center of Ms. Franklin's property. And to me, when you go back and look at the way the lights are arranged on that street, you can see the lights are clustered. See, here's the two lights within 100 feet of each other. Okay? And so I think we've got some issue.
What are the blue dots?
Those are guard lines.
In individuals?
That's, and some individual owns those. And they may or may not be functioning, depending on whether the individual is paid to keep them on or not, or whether the individual
Turn
maintains
them
them
on.
or not.
Yeah.
Okay, so, so the two lights there are the ones that are next to Ms. Franklin, and a short distance away is a third one, and then there's a fourth one down there. Now, at this point in time, when I checked it, the other day when I checked it the first time before I went on vacation, that light was burning. And I didn't even know that light existed in the trees until I went back and came, because I would drive through there at night, and I couldn't even see that light because it was hidden so far up in the trees. And I never anticipated a light being so close, two lights so close together. So what I've talked to Troup about is, rather than, at this point in time, perhaps the council might want to consider, a street light costs us $12 a month. And that's $12 a month from now on. So that's the reason I can't make that decision as to whether to add a street light or not.
Is that light that is inoperable? Are we being billed for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the reason we have to check them every once in a while. Let's
Right.
see if
So
they're,
the
but
one-
this one's so
The
hidden.
one that's buried in that tree
Yeah.
is actually,
Yeah.
Cost us.
And what Tom Trimble and I discussed was having his designer come down and his engineer and actually come and see if we couldn't move some of these lights to where they were more
yeah,
effective.
especially the one that's in the tree.
Yeah. Now, the problem you get into with that, when I was mayor 20 years ago, okay, you have to go back. The problem you get into with that, if you go down this way a little bit, there is a slide sitting right in front of a house that's completely dilapidated. So it's serving no purpose whatsoever. Yeah, so that's serving, that, you know, it's back towards Alabama Street, it's sitting in front of a piece of property there's nothing there. You know, it's an uninhabitable residence. So anyways, So what I was, the council can do whatever you like. Now, the problem you use when you get to moving lights around, when I was mayor, we decided that we could probably eliminate some lights and still have equal lighting to what we had. But what we got into, and we had to drop that because I didn't want to have to move, I had known the funeral home all that long, and I didn't want to have to move out of town over street lights. So so we had to drop that plan because folks had put street lights and had, over the years, the council had put street lights in people's front yards and mid-block and that kind of thing. And those street lights were not going to be moved easily. So
is there, other than your driveway, is there a street right there?
no, that's just her driveway.
Okay,
The street is right here at Brown Street.
that's Brown Street.
That's right, yeah.
And the next street to the
Yeah.
east, kind of to the west, would be Alabama.
Yeah. Now see, Brown Street loops back. It makes a circle.
Yeah, it's a horseshoe.
It does, okay. And so anyway, of course, there is no street lights from here to this corner down here. There's not even a light on we have a lift station at that corner.
And there's nothing down there. It is so dark down there. When you cut off at 13, you can't see until you get.
Well, and of course, the other end of 13 is no different. If you go down to the property DCDC owns, there is no street light on the corner of Georgia 110 and Wilkinson Drive either. So, it's the council's pleasure, but Tom has said he and his design engineer would come down. Now,
Hey, Jenny, is Tom with the,
he's
on the court?
He's on the court. If they can hang a light on the pole, if it's an existing pole, it costs us $12 a month from here on out. So, and if they have to put in a pole, then he has to determine what that cost will be. Of course, the city has to bear that cost if they have to put in a pole.
Hey, Jim, I got two questions, Dee. I'd like to get the police officer's opinion. Is there any, would it be a favor for you to have lighting in that area?
In that particular location?
Or do you think, even on that whole stretch, that if the lighting was better, you could do better?
In particular, the only area that at nights during the summers we do have issue with is in that particular area Ms. Franklin's speaking about, especially around Brown Street, truthfully. A lot of walkers during the middle of the night and everything.
Not walkers,
If it was lit up more, it would be highly convenient.
deter them from doing that.
Yes.
And then the other part is there a LED lighting that would, I know LED is that a particular thing that's better?
Well, he gave us the best price on the best light.
Okay.
We at one time, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like we signed a deal with the company that was gonna check these
They
lights.
did, and they did, and they didn't find that there was enough of a variance that they owed us any money. So Encore themselves checked it, and I just signed an agreement with them this week that they're refunding us $2,000. And that's over a period of 4 or 5 years that they determined we didn't do this bill. We weren't being billed for some lights that got added on, and then we were being billed for some lights that wasn't working. So we got, I think that check's gonna be $2,600. So it's,
Okay, so to bring this thing maybe forward, we really probably should, to take appropriate action on this, we should probably see what Encore's representative recommends.
that's
in
your
prices.
call. Yeah. Because when I got
I mean, for us
like,
to
the
do
chief
a
and I went
approval
out, the chief and I went out there and looked at that, and he didn't even notice that other light. And like I said, I didn't notice that other light till this morning when I went to take that picture.
But putting a bulb in that light doesn't necessarily address your issue unless that tree.
The tree is gonna go away. We've already talked to TxDOT about that. The tree, but it'll be when their tree cutters come through the next time, which will be in late August or early September. So they've already assured us that they will take that tree out. Now, that may create some issues because the folks that live there may not be real happy when that tree comes out from in front of their.
I think they will because the branches, when the storm came, were all in their fence and they were out there like me picking up branches.
Those are folks that you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're the neighbors.
Would that be satisfactory to you to let me let Encore see what the situation
Yeah,
is?
and Encore came after the storm, and they had people that couldn't speak English, and they looked at that line, and they said they would be back, and I never saw Encore again.
And they could very easily be.
Yeah, no, of course, those guys can't do anything but what they're instructed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's probably.
I couldn't communicate.
No, well, it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
I know that feeling.
So Ms. Franklin, if they do take the tree down and the wall is put in that pole, it says 200 feet from your house, is that correct?
It's 246.
It's closer to Brown Street than it is.
Yeah, but I think if when Tom and I look at this, we'll be able to move that light that's closest to Ms. Franklin's house. After we cut that tree down, I think we can move it further down the street. Either that or move that one that's out, the one that sits in front of the vacant house, and move it down. It'll be a matter of whether there's a pole there.
Ultimately, our real expense then might be not the monthly expense, but the one-time,
If we had to put a pole.
the one-time expense.
Yeah.
Because we probably don't need.
We don't need two lines 100 feet apart.
Right.
Well, may I ask the question, the light poles with the numbers on them, who owns those poles?
They tend,
Encore has one.
there's a
sitting
few
in
of them that are
their
owned by the phone company, as I understand.
Well, yeah, that label is just for, and of course, everybody shares it for their wires. But
Okay.
basically, but if it's a power, if it has electricity to it, Encore has control of it.
Well, it's sitting in our yard.
Yeah, but even if it's a guard light, it will still have their pole number on
It's nothing on the pole, just a line running to the neighbors across,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But I was just
it.
wondering.
And of course, these lights, it shows this is Encore's map that I just took a screenshot of. And then the Encore shows these lights back here, but those lights are not actually back there.
They're really much closer.
They're sitting right on the road like I've marked.
All right, so, then would it require any action?
Yeah, I think I'd like to
Okay.
hear some instruction from y'all on what you like.
Table it until.
What I'll just say that you would like, just make a motion that we talk with Encore and get their recommendations and then come back to the council.
All right, I'd like to make that motion. We need to make a motion that the city council talks to, Jean talks to Encore and see what we can do about making this a little bit more lighting for her house and for the other area that we need to, in view of what the police have said.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, so then, Ms. Franklin, the wheels of progress turn slowly, but it sounds like we'll probably find a way to get light closer to your house with some help from Uncle.
Convenient if you should have to come to my house.
And call me when you
Because I'm telling you, with the wooded area, we're surrounded by woods. And
You just need to live across the street from my dad. He's put so many guard lights around his house.
I can see it
You
at my house.
can't sleep at night. It's like you have to.
well, I don't want that many, but
One or two would
He
be
put
fine.
one over his master bedroom window. It's like, Dad,
How do you sleep?
how do you sleep?
Franklin, we appreciate you coming by
and he assured me
and
he would
confidence
get
in
with me
us
this
to take
week.
care of it.
well, I appreciate you all and thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can stay around if you want, but you can get lost.
You get
No, thank you.
We're gonna be dealing with dog voice boxes here any minute.
I'll save me up for me, I guess.
Okay, agenda item number 10, to discuss and consider entering an interlocal agreement with Smith County for street repair. This was an item that, as I recall, was previously approved.
Okay, it's the paving of Broad Street. And of course, we're awaiting an interlocal agreement with Smith County to do that. And,
Which we do not have at this time.
no, we do not. And the county engineer I talked, he was on vacation for a couple of weeks and he came back and I've been calling him fairly often. And he said that his attorney had not, the Smith County attorney had not prepared it yet. So, and he said it would probably be our July meeting before he would have it ready for us. And he says it's gonna be August or September there again before he gets around to doing the paving project anymore. You remember, this is the one on Ross Street where Lynn Energy's gonna pay $14,000.
Is this Frank Davis?
And would this require tabling or just,
No,
Just no action?
Yeah, it's just no action. No,
Okay.
there's nothing.
okay,
I put it on the agenda so in case I had it.
but it didn't come in? Okay.
I do have one question on that. I mean, is this something we could, although I appreciate seeing you did a good job, got asphalt on my street and then 2 streets over, so that looks good. Is this more streets that possibly can be paid for the county's help in the future? Or is this just kind of a one-time?
No, they, you can make proposals to them. They'll work with you.
Okay.
The deal with the county is you provide the materials and they do the labor at no cost.
If they accept the project.
Is it, yeah.
They do actually have to accept the project.
Right. And I know they're real busy, but on the
Yes.
streets.
Yeah, it's on their time schedule.
That's right.
So it's,
So we are at the bottom of the list.
and we did, I mean, we've been discussing it with them for quite a few months.
Yeah, because I had to make sure they would do it before we got off into it.
Yeah, I mean-
Once I got a price from them, then I had to go to Lynn Energy and see if they would chip in something.
And, I think we all know, I mean, county's no different than the city, only bigger.
That's right.
They've got all these streets and
Now
roads
the
to take
bridges.
care of, and
They're all washed out.
not nearly enough money.
Now the bridges.
It's one thing to generate a little, just to provide some equipment, but another thing to actually come up with dollars and cents. So if there's no additional discussion, we'll take action on this when you do have that interlocal agreement. We'll move on to agenda item number 11, which would be to discuss and consider adopting ordinance number 2015-0623-01, an ordinance of the City Council designating an official newspaper for the City of Troup for the fiscal year 2015. This is something that we do every year. And as our city manager said, it can be the New York Times if we want it to be, but we sort of have a favorite newspaper, so.
And Suzanne could not be here today, and I told her that New York Times was under consideration since she was going to attend the White House meeting rather than I.
She wasn't too worried about it.
Well, a little bit more news.
So we would require a motion to name the paper.
I'll make a motion that we name the Tri-County Leader as the official newspaper for the City of Troup
And read that ordinance.
By ordinance.
by ordinance number 2015-0623-01.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any additional discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. So it passes. Congratulations, Tri-County Leader. You're still our guy. Agenda item number 12. This would be to consider authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for employee health insurance at the re-rated fees for 2015-2016 and a renewal of the continuation of coverage agreement, COBRA. And I think probably this one, I'll let Gene go over because it's very date sensitive. This has to be done tonight.
That's right. We have until the 24th to let TML, if that's who we choose to continue with, know that that's what our plan is. Because our plan renews on October the 1st. Okay, you remember, we've been very fortunate with TML the last couple of years, and we had no increase 2 years ago, or had a 3% increase 2 years ago and a 0% increase last year. We're not quite so fortunate this year. We had some fairly heavy claims this year, and so if you looked at the same census of employees, it would have been a 12% increase in our insurance premium. But because of some retirements and that kind of thing, the census of our employees has changed. And so if we renew the same plan that we currently have with TML, we have about an 8% increase in the premium. And can you see all this from over there or not?
I can't read it, but I'm got it.
Well, currently, our premium cost is $8,104. This is for health insurance only. It doesn't include our dental and all that kind of thing, because no matter who you buy it from, the dental and the long-term disability and all that sort of thing is pretty much the same. So the only thing we really need to concentrate on is where we are in health insurance premium-wise. Right now, between our dependents and our employees, Nelson, the city pays a third of our dependent coverage for those employees who choose to take dependent coverage. And right now, out of our 21 employees, we only have 3 that have dependent coverage. Yes, sir. Right now, our total monthly cost is $8,900.83. Our librarian costs us $407.20 a month, but that's paid by the library. So it enters into our total cost, but it's not a direct cost to the city of Troup. If we go with the new rates, the premium will go to $96.55.92 a month, which is an increase of some $700 a month. And the librarian is $458.06, and the grand total is $10,111.98. And like I said, if you take those two numbers and divide them out, it works out a little over 8%. Like I said, if we use the same census, it would have been 11.9999%. But we got some younger employees, so that made a difference in our premium. So I went out in order to kind of get a sense of what was going on. I went out and got a quote from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Our coverage right now, let me tell you how it works. Our current plan pays 70% when you're in the network, and it pays 50% when you're out of network. It pays 90% in network for the hospital cost, for the facility cost. If you're out of the network, it pays 50%. There's no deductible as long as you're inside the network. Okay?
Means whoever, like, our plan might, is it mothers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you went to the center,
Oh,
you're out
okay,
there, or you do.
Well, and of course, all PPO networks are that way. They've got a primary provider. If you go outside that primary provider, then you get penalized significantly. Okay. Our maximum out of pocket in network is $3,000. Now, if you're out of network, there is no max. You're 50% all the way. There is no office visit copay, and we have a very good prescription drug plan. In fact, I'm on some medication, and I rarely have to pay a copay prescription drug plan, so that's very good. Okay, so if I go to Blue Cross and Blue Shield and kind of pull up the similar kind of plan, which basically is what they call their platinum plan, their premium is for the same thing that is currently costing us $8,900. It goes to $9,600. That premium becomes $14,000 a month.
Comparison shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the discussion there was earlier in the week, so that, it's probably not very likely that we're gonna be able to operate below the 96, 55, 92. But Gene went ahead and compared it to Blue Cross and Blue Shield just to see, and it's clearly, TML's policy is clearly a better deal for the city. And there's no way to keep our premium dollars any lower than that unless we change up our whole structure, quit doing dependent match, helping with the dependents, we change all the deductibles, we'd have to restructure everything, and I'm not sure, I feel comfortable with this.
And, to tell you how much difference our census made, see, our dependent coverage this past year was $756.83, our portion of it, our third of the dependent coverage. And next year, even with the price increase, it's only going to be $534.72. So that's where we ate down some of the 12% increase.
So
And TML is not universal across the board with how they handle cities. They kind of lump it into regions, and then they figure your increases there. Some cities have as much as a 25% increase, and some cities have as much as a 25% reduction. So it's not
So employee just for himself on the plan, he pays he'll be paying if he adopted it's $456 a month.
the employee pays nothing.
Oh, but that's, okay.
That's what his cost
It's the cost, that's not.
That's what it costs to see the Troup to cover the employee.
So-
And of course, Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't figure rates that way. TML figures the same rate for every employee. Every employee, if you look down there at the library cost, that's what it costs per employee. Okay. TML doesn't figure it that way. For example, Blue Cross Blue Shield, see, the librarian's coverage is $584.45, but our 67-year-old employee is $1,200 and something a month under Blue Cross Blue Shield. So it's just a difference in the way they calculate rates. Of course, I need some guidance, on you, because this is very important as we begin to do budgeting, as to what we do.
Good homework.
Yeah.
That's good homework.
Well, thank you.
Insurance is went up across the board everywhere, so that's not that.
But the only thing that I find very nice about it, the TML, is that the funeral home, I was used to 33% increases on a fairly regular basis when I was in the private one. So,
So he takes some action.
Yeah, and then, again, this is the 24th, the 24th is basically our commitment for enrollment, that's right. Yeah.
I make a motion that we consider, that we authorize the mayor to execute an agreement for employee health insurance at a re-rated fee for 2015, 2016, and a renewal of the continuation of coverage agreement COBRA
at the current one.
at the current plan.
Okay, we have a motion.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, a little housekeeping here. Item number 13. Discuss and consider library board recommendations for appointment of board member positions for odd years with terms expiring in 2017. This will be for appointees John Nelson, Shannon Capps, David Wilson, Gene Witzel, and the terms of service for the Cameron J. Jarvis Municipal Library, ending in 2017. And we as a council have to actually appoint them. We do this every year, right? You got an odd number of years and even number of years.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Oh, okay, I have a motion to second. Is there any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. So that agenda item passes.
And you can vote. Yeah, because you're not on there. You're on our board.
Yeah, but Dave's my husband.
He's not being the Hobbs, that you're aware of, is he?
No, not that I know.
We probably don't have to pay library fines.
If he'd ever learned to read.
Okay, guys, we'll move on to agenda item number 14, discuss and consider the recommendations of the Troup Planning and Zoning Commission regarding a business sign being placed in the historical district at 127 West Duval.
All right, the Planning and Zoning Commission met tonight, and this is the sign on the pizza place. And in the historical district, the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council have to approve signs in the historical district before they can be in place. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission met tonight, and they were given two alternatives. The owner of the pizza shop actually wanted both of these options approved, but the Planning and Zoning Commission chose not to do that. This is the sign that they approved for the placement. The problem of it is that the Planning and Zoning Commission has is our regs, the Planning and Zoning regs says that you cannot have a lighted sign in the historical district. And it also says you can't have a sign mounted on the building in the historical district. But the view of the Planning and Zoning Commission was that the business was probably more important than the sign. And they chose to go ahead and approve this sign with the addition of his telephone number. He said he wanted to put the telephone number. Okay. So, and of course, in planning and zoning items, all of the planning and zoning commission have to approve it, and you have to approve it as well before it's an official act.
Where
Joe,
we're
you
gonna
think
put
you'll
the
be
phone.
okay with just that, in your opinion?
I am certain that whatever comes out of this council will be just fine.
Where's the phone number?
If you'll put it
Got
down
to be
there.
on the bottom, I'm sure.
On the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like A much better than B.
So I'll show them to you again. And this is basically the sign he has on his pizza place in Oakland.
Yeah.
So really, we've got one thing to vote on, and that's that one right there.
If you want to approve, if you want to approve the planning and zoning commission's recommendation.
I guess, for discussion, is it okay to discuss? Sure. I don't understand, will the phone number make an impact for his business to be on there? I don't want to hurt his business.
He's doing deliveries,
Okay.
and I think his concept, he has multiple locations, and I think his concept is somebody driving by could jot his phone number down, make a call, pull into their house, and have pizza in 20 minutes.
And one of the people that was on, Brenda Dickey, who was on the planning and zoning commission, they own the pizza place down here. And before I even said he was gonna put the phone number on there, she says, why isn't the phone number on the sign? She said, "For a pizza place, that's very important for her."
Okay.
All right.
Good.
I'll make the motion, or are you gonna make it?
Go ahead, Darryl.
I make a motion that we approve planning and zoning's, number A, option A for the sign for the pizza place.
I'll
With
second.
the addition, excuse me, with the addition of phone number,
As recommended by the planning.
that's recommended.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that passes. Agenda item number 15, preliminary discussion of the 2014-15 budget and the presentation of the proposed budget calendar.
And that should say 15, 16. So,
Okay.
we're all right. All right. This is all very preliminary, because everything is, we're starting from scratch. Of course, until I get things like insurance and all that kind of thing figured in, everything else is up in there. So let me kind of talk to you. Our debt service. This is Nelson in the city of Troup, our debt service is the money we borrowed when we built the water tower, basically. And they borrowed some additional money at that time above and beyond that. And they borrowed that money with general fund revenues because that made the interest rate lower. But a water tower is technically a water. Which in cities you're divided into two types of funds. There's a general fund that operates everything but the water and sewer system, and the water and sewer system that operates those things. So, and the general fund basically works off the taxes
And you might mention that we recently have we made some adjustments recently to try to get water and sewer to actually cash flow. We don't quite have it there,
That's why I asked.
but there was some adjustments 2 or 3 years ago. We tried to bring that up where they literally,
Break even or?
yeah, just break even's all we were trying to do.
they've been gone 7 years about raising water rates, and then they built the water tower, and then they didn't raise the rates.
Yeah.
So basically what was happening, and they didn't transfer any money out of water and sewer to refund to the general fund to pay the debt. So the debt was eating up the general fund rather rapidly.
Okay.
And our payments on that debt in this year was $115,646.40. And next year that payment will be $115,456.40. I had to be real careful not to rotate those numbers out, so they were so close together. So we'll actually see a decline of 0.16% in our debt service.
How much is left?
About 1.3, there's about $1.3 million.
And it's about a 20-year.
It's a 20-year.
Yeah, we're a year or two into, we did a refinance
Yeah.
about, I think, 18 months ago.
Okay.
So it's about a 20-year note.
And I'll send you that.
Right, okay.
All right. And being new, ad valorem taxes is how the general fund, a portion of it's funded. And how ad valorem taxes work is the Smith County Appraisal District comes out and appraises the property. And then they give us a preliminary value. And when the preliminary values are released, that's what the letters that go out to everybody. And then they go in and protest, and then about July, we get the final numbers. So always, the preliminary values are generally higher than what your final values are going to be, but generally not by too much. And so this 2014, 2015, our actual values, those are not preliminary, those are the actual $69.5 million for the city of Troup. That includes the portion of Troup that's in Cherokee County as well. By far, the biggest majority of that is Smith County. This year, our preliminary,
Right.
this year, our preliminary values are up about 3%. And that's $71,630,000. And out of that, $4.5 million of that is property in Cherokee County. So if you want to see the Smith County parts, you just put it out there. Of course, what I had to do, I had to add those two numbers together.
To get that.
To get that. Okay.
So what, in 2013, was it
It was, we had a
just
bit,
estimated as,
yeah, it was a bit of decline, like 1% or something like that. Of course, and that was largely driven by mineral values. You know, back in 2008 or 9, mineral values got real high, and then all of a sudden, they fell. So that has a big effect on it. And the thing that the values affect more than anything else is what we call the effective tax rate. Okay? The effective tax rate, when they define that, that's the tax rate at which you raise no more ad valorem tax than you did the year before. Okay? And so in 2014, our debt service rate was 0.166395, and our maintenance and operations, which is what we operate the city out of, was 0.755149. So that totals out to 0.921544 was our total rate for this year. When I go and figure based on the preliminaries, and I do a rough estimate of the effective tax rate, I know exactly what the debt service is going to be based. Well, I don't know exactly, because if the valuations change, that's going to change a little bit. If the valuations fall, that number's going to go up. If the final valuations fall, that number's going to go up a little bit. But right now, it's 16 cents per hundred is where we are on the debt service rate. Our maintenance and operation rate would move down from 0.755149 to 0.735473, and our total tax rate would move down to 0.9072.
Yeah, and that is until the final value. Until the final value is set, they can change a little bit.
Yeah. But it's not going to change too horribly much. I'm very comfortable with those numbers.
For the neighboring cities, what are we, our tax?
Well, our tax, that's a hard thing to compare,
Well,
but.
don't, yeah,
Well, no, let me kind of explain.
We look at it by the household.
Yeah, we look at it by rooftop,
okay.
okay, because,
Our rate looks really high.
yeah, no, and of course what it is the lower the average rooftop value in your town is, the higher the tax rate's gonna be.
Right.
Okay, Troup has, up until this year, Troup had the lowest average rooftop home value in Smith County.
Okay.
Okay, right now we're at number 2. Winona beat us out for that this year.
So should we help some other cities with the lower than value, or?
Yeah, I know that,
So,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
And of course, what you have to remember is, I've got those numbers and I'll send them to you. If you're in Bullard and you own the average home in Bullard,
Yeah.
you pay about $3,600 a year in taxes altogether, city, school district, ESD. If you live in Troup with an average home value of $63,000, you pay about $566 in taxes for all those loans. But the rate looks high. And of course, that's the problem you have with ad valorem taxation. Everybody only looks at one number.
Right.
They look at the rate, and the rate only tells a part of the story. You have to look at the other thing, the rate's being multiplied by to get your tax rate.
okay.
All right. This is our rollback rate. The rollback rate is basically your effective tax rate plus 8%. And the rollback rate is the point at which, if you go beyond that point, the citizens can petition for an election. And they can roll the rate back to where it was last year. And then in the legislature this year, there was a huge fight over this, because right now it's at 8%, and there was a big movement in the legislature to cut that to 4%. And the 4% cut wasn't a killer, but the killer was that if you went above that 4%, you had to have a mandatory election. Okay, and in truth, 4% of our total property, of the total property tax, is a little over $20,000. And it costs us $6,000 to have an election. So if you put in a rule that says, hey, if you go above 4%, you've got to have an election, that means if I rent 2 police cars this year and one of them's not insured and it costs me $30,000, that means I'm going to have to go to the citizens of Troup and say, hey, we're going to have an election for you to fund this police car. So those.
However, that didn't happen.
That it didn't happen.
It failed in.
Yeah, so the rollback rate stayed at 8%, which.
And with the option.
Nor did we wreck any police cars.
Yeah, neither. Well, these
Y'all don't jinx us.
He said, don't jinx it.
So anyway, so, and of course, the debt service rate, it stays the same. It cannot move. That's set. And then the maintenance and operations rate could go as high as 79 cents. And then that makes your total rate 95, yeah, without having a rollback situation. And even if you have a rollback situation, that doesn't mean the citizens are going to petition to have it rolled back, but they do have that option.
And Gene, generally speaking, to go from the 92 to the 95 per household, approximately what?
Yeah, each penny in tax increase. Okay, if you go from 90 cents to 95 cents, each penny in tax in Troup raises, for maintenance and operations, raises about $5,500.
Right.
So if you go up a nickel, that's $25,000.
Right.
Right.
But per household, if you distribute that out
Yeah.
per household,
Yeah,
it's
$10 or $12.
$10 or $12. So as rough as that looks, it's not 95 cents on a whole bunch of $500,000 and $600,000 houses. It's 95 cents on much lower value property.
We dodged the bullet, I guess, with the legislature this year too, right?
Yeah,
Because you were afraid they were gonna take away a lot of this property tax.
Yeah, and also they made a move to increase the household exemptions at the city level. And of course, if you're sitting here like Troup, and they tell you you've got to exempt $30,000 from house tax or value as an exemption, and your average home value is $63,000, that will leave you with $33,000 for tax. So basically, that's going to happen is that's going to shoot the rate sky high. Of course, cities of our size are limited. The $1.50 is as high as you can make the rate go by Texas Constitution.
So they did vote that in, even though they discussed it.
They did some with school districts, but not with cities. And this is preliminary budget calendar. You can't read that because it's too small, but I'll send you a copy.
What's our most critical date? The actual date we have to adopt? Is
Yeah,
when?
and I've got that scheduled for the 22nd of September.
Yeah.
We only
And that's a few weeks early?
that's a week early.
It's 1 week early.
But it's a regular scheduled council meeting.
Yes.
So that's what I.
So our budget year basically is October 1st
To September.
through September 30th, or 31st, or whatever. Okay.
And that's really all I have.
Anybody got questions about this? Because we're not, there's no action required on
No,
this.
it's
It's
just
just
Cover
discussion.
water,
Questions?
revenues, and expenses.
Okay, so we'll move on now
Not losing yet.
to agenda item,
16.
actually, can I name them 16 and 17?
Yeah.
Okay, 16 and 17, I will now adjourn the regular session of the city council at 7:45, and we will convene the executive session to discuss personnel under Government Code 551.074, the annual evaluation of the city administrator and the annual evaluation of the city secretary. So at this time, we are in executive session. At this time, would I reconvene?
That's right.
I reconvene the regular meeting of the Troup City Council. The time is 8:18 p.m. And for my benefit, Mr. Cobb, would you like to hear a recommendation?
Sure.
Okay. It's not the form of a motion.
That's right.
Okay. So, would anyone like to make a recommendation?
Do you know what?
Okay, I'll be happy to make it. We would like to recommend that in the budgetary preparation process that you attempt to get your city secretary's hourly rate of $21 an hour, and that you work toward getting the city manager's annual salary from its current level to 60. And that's the recommendation that we would like to, obviously,
Make it fit.
you know better than we do that it's got to fit. Yeah. And we discussed the fact that there's a number of things waiting to come in from the other department heads. So that concludes item number 16 and 17 and 18. Number 19, any comments or input from the mayor, city manager, or the council concerning items of interest for future agenda?
Just, Gene, can you update us at all on the Angelina Nature's River Authority and our discussion we had with them, and anything that's transpired since then?
They tried to get an agreement with Dallas, but when the weather turned wet, and that made
The
Dallas.
sense of urgency went away.
Yeah, so anyway, so they have not been able to reach an agreement with that much yet.
Okay.
So the consequence of that is that we're going to be on the hook for our $5,700 for at least this year, perhaps next year.
Maybe we'll renegotiate.
We have
with
water
them
rights.
Another day.
Yeah. But that's where they stand.
Yeah, the council,
City of Dallas.
yeah, the council was of the opinion that we should they needed a larger percentage of the lake. We had 5% of it, and we were of the opinion that should they ever decide to complete the lake, we'd never be able to pay 5% of the cost of building the lake, much less the cost of water treatment and delivery to our city. And we had discussed and I think agreed that we would let them make us whole for the entire amount of money with no interest. But the Dallas contract did not come through. So that probably will come up again someday when Lake Louisville's down 15 or 18 feet and Lake Ray Hubbard is down 15 or 18 feet, but everything filled up in their old spillway. So
It may come from another direction, I mean, it may be another large city bill.
yeah, it's gonna happen.
Maybe Los Angeles.
Yeah, they need it. They need it really bad.
And one other thing, I'm just glad Nelson's here. Other groups in town had tried to snag him, but he finally got wore down.
Yeah,
Yep, I'll serve.
This is a wore down situation, so maybe I can
serve here. I'm happy to do so though. I feel very confident. I'm very glad to see, you guys get a lot of accolades. When I actually came here, one of the things I looked at was how the city was run. But I knew from a distance how well things were done. And but sitting here and seeing, being a part of it, it's done very well. Very proud of you guys. And the citizens of Troup, from time to time, you know that. You know, that from a comparison from city to city, I come from a small town, and my small town is run very well as well, Grange, Texas. And we do quite well, but Troup has done well with the demographics and things that we have here. It's done quite well. Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Well, welcome to the team, and we have, in the 7 years that I've been doing it, and much longer for Carol, 8 for you, Jeff, maybe?
Yeah.
We've been doing it teamwork wise. We don't always agree, but we have always agreed that it was okay to disagree.
Right.
I mean, we've never, ever not. Once in a while, we have a little bit of heated discussion with some of the, somebody brings some issue in, but I honestly can't tell you how surprised I have been over this period of time that generally staff addresses those issues and we don't see them much. Very seldom do we see them. Maybe the mayor saw them a little more over the years than the council did, but we never saw many of them. So that's another good sign about what kind of staff we've got, because they're willing to put out fires and not shove it back on us.
Right.
So if there's no additional comments, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.